Hello. We're live with an episode of BS Busters. Sorry we got started a little late. I'm fighting a cold right now, and I'm at a relative's house. I'm at a relative's house sitting right now. So, like, I had to put some stuff together and get my laptop out and get my webcam, and it's just. But anyway, let's get it started. Today's podcast is a BS Busters Lite. We'll cover a little bit of the news of the week, although not a lot has really happened this week. So, nothing really to talk about. But the big topic today is this podcast is games that deserve a sequel. But before we get into that, let's have the panelists introduce themselves. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Let the lady go first.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this is Joe Wright. I'm welcome you to BS Busters Lite, and today we are going a little interesting today. At least I hope so.
And this is Piggy Don from Video Game Facts. And although there's not much news coming out that came out this week.
Yeah, I mean, the only news that we really have is some Sonic news, because we now know what Sonic looks like, the live-action Sonic looks like. It's horrifying, folks.
All I have to say is it could have been worse.
Yeah, but it's still pretty bad. It's horrifying, folks. It's horrifying. I don't want to hear anyone complain about how the Detective Pikachu looks. Detective Pikachu, I can look at that all day long, but this live action Pikachu looks horrifying. I mean, this live action Sonic looks horrifying. Why didn't they just use the animated Sonic, like a CGI animated Sonic, like they've been using, like modern? I don't get that.
I'm going to look at this last week. For anything, Sonic looks like more of a Uncanny Valley than Detective Pikachu.
No, it's not even Uncanny Valley. It just looks like, okay, we know what Sonic looks like. Like they could have gone with classic kind of pot-bellied Sonic, or they could have gone with
modern green-eyed Sonic.
They could have gone with like the modern interpretation CGI 3D Sonic. But no. They went with neither of those, which were recognizable to fans of Sonic the Hedgehog. No, they made this amorphous mutant freak. We're gonna make a realistic kind of Sonic the Hedgehog. There's nothing fucking realistic about a blue.
Didn't they learn from Sonic 06 how bad things can get if you go realistic?
Well, there was nothing realistic about that because the princess wanted to fuck Sonic, so there's nothing realistic about that.
It's only human characters who are hyper realistic.
Sonic was not hyper realistic in that. Like this is them copying Detective Pikachu. This is what this is. They saw that trailer for Detective Pikachu and like, shit, I want that too. See, Sega never learned their lesson. Stop trying to copy Nintendo because you're not as good as Nintendo. You'll never be as good as Nintendo. Your ass got run out of the console business because you fucking suck. Okay? Stop trying to be like Nintendo. You're not Nintendo. Stop it.
Ooh, nice way of punching them down.
Everyone's like, Nintendo or Sega, which is better? The one that's still making consoles. There you go. The one whose mascot out of like mainline Sonic games, there's been like Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, that's 4, Sonic CD 5, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, that's 6, 7, Sonic Adventures Heroes 8. Then the myriad of Sonic, like out of like, let's say 15, 16, 17 games, only like 4 have been good. Whereas, you can count on a few fingers how many bad Mario games there are. And even the bad Mario games are still better than like some good Sonic games.
Because those games weren't rushed.
Well, even if they were rushed, they still are better. Like, I would say arguably the worst Mario game is maybe Mario Sunshine. And Mario Sunshine's not terrible. It's just not as good as the other Mario games.
Or New Super Mario Brothers 2 for the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say that's the most half-assed Mario game, but it's still not like, it's half-assed compared to other Mario games. It's still not bad. Like, it's playable. Like, if you had never played the first New Super Mario Brothers or any other 2D Mario game, and someone gave you that game, you'd be like, oh, this is fine. Like, you're not going to be offended by the game. There are Sonic games where you just get mad at the game. You're like, who made this shit? Who okayed this? And yet again, Sega has proven that they give no fucks. No fucks given.
Well, even Sega themselves did not appreciate Sonic's new design for the movie because it wasn't what they were anticipating for.
So let me get this straight. They essentially licensed out their character, but they have no say in the design?
Nope.
Wow, that's a bad deal.
Yeesh.
That's a bad deal. Bad deal. Someone got a bad contract on that one. So yeah. This movie's probably gonna suck already. You know, hell. I mean, it's like no one learned their lesson. They're like, yeah, we're going with a live action Sonic the Hedgehog. Why? Did no one learn their lesson for the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Apparently not.
Except here's the one caveat I'll give the Super Mario Brothers movie. Okay, if you somehow completely ignore that it has practically nothing to do with the video game that you grew up with, you can enjoy that movie just on this is an acid trip of a film. Like, there are parts of that movie that are enjoyable, right? Whereas I don't even think this Sonic movie is going to be enjoyable. I just think it's going to be a turd from the beginning to end. A long, hard turd. I don't know where I was going with that.
And the sad part is still not going to kill off the Sonic brand.
No, because Sega's just going to keep on milking that cow until the udder is not only dry and giving out dust, but just like falling apart because it's been used so much.
Ouch.
Yeah. So I never want to hear from you Sega fans, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog, he's on par with Mario. No, he isn't. Mario
He's worse.
Mario literally unbuttons his overalls, pulls down his pants, pulls out his Johnson, and smacks Sonic in the face with it. All right.
Which I ran into this YouTuber named Gamer Guide who was a massive Sonic fan who recently posted a video on why the Super Mario Brothers games are not great, whereas the Sonic games are.
I mean, that's his opinion. He's entitled to it. I mean, all I'm going to say is this: it's widely known that the king of platformers are Mario games. The king of platformers is Mario. I would say in terms of 2D platforming, the only game that I know that has come close to that in some ways surpasses the 2D Mario games in terms of platforming is maybe the Donkey Kong Country games, not the retro ones, the rare ones for the 16-bit SNES system, and that's just because they have tighter controls. And the level design is a bit more refined than what you have in Super Mario World. Because, I mean, the sad thing is that, had Nintendo actually done a real sequel to Super Mario World and not Yoshi's Island, like a real actual sequel and refined those level designs and stuff like that, you probably, it would have continued to be like a really, really excellent platformer. But, I mean, Mario for like 3 games had some really great platforming. Now, Super Mario 2, aka Super Mario USA, aka Doki Doki Panic reskin. I mean, it didn't have the tightest platforming, but it did add a lot of elements that have become mainstays to Mario, like picking up items and taking them other places. A lot of level exploration, which you didn't have in the first Super Mario Brothers. Mario jacking people's rides. I mean, you just don't realize how fucking horrific Mario is in that game, where he jumps on a flying carpet. Some bird's like, yeah, and I retired. I'm going to take this carpet, and me and my family are going to go on a journey around the world. Oh, shit. Ah! Mario's like, fuck you.
I was about to say, Mario is the first original bad rear end.
Well, it's like GTA.
Because he does a lot of things that people would want to know, that want some badass games of the future to be.
Well, I mean, those words work for Wart, so
this is essentially GTA before GTA. Like in Mario for the SNES, like if you're fighting Lakitu, he'll pick up a shell and kick him out of his clown car and jack his ride. Like, could you imagine GTA set in the Mushroom Kingdom? Break yourself, fool! What? No! Ah!
To be fair, they both work for the villains, so it's okay.
No, it's not. It's not okay to murder someone just because they work for a villain. That's flawed logic. Especially okay, look, if the villain is the only game in town, it's like getting mad because someone works for Walmart, even though Walmart has basically destroyed the entire local economy. Like the smaller mom and pops and other smaller stores can't make it. It's like, man, I hate you. Man, this is the only place to work. I got rent to pay. Shit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what are your guys' thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog basically looking like a roided out freak of nature?
As I said before, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, but it could have given him a lot better.
They could have given him a realistic. They could have easily given him a realistic hedgehog face to make it a whole lot worse.
It still looks pretty bad. I'm not gonna.
Considering it makes Detective Pikachu look good. Oh God.
Yeah, okay.
My hat is fallen.
Detective Pikachu. For you, Detective Pikachu is Uncanny Valley. For me, I'm like, it's approaching Uncanny Valley, but it doesn't quite go past the 50% mark to make it horrifying. Like, it's like 40% to me. It's like, okay, this is a little uncanny, but I'm not like, oh my God, kill it, burn it with fire. Sonic the Hedgehog, somebody needs to take this motherfucker out back and shotgun him in the face. Blam!
Yeah.
It's over.
At least I apologize to Detective Pikachu for that.
So once again, everyone's like, Sega does what Nintendo doesn't, what Nintendo don't. I'm gonna say Nintendo does.
Yeah.
Sega can't because they're lame. You're lame.
Ooh.
You suck. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it rolling. I think we've shit on Sega long enough.
Time to move on to the main topic.
Yeah, it's time to move on to the main topic. The main topic is games that deserve a sequel. Like, these are games and or franchises. Like, the criteria for this topic is a game came out, it was really awesome, or two games that were really awesome, and then for some reason the franchise just disappeared. Or a single game that came out, and even though there's been spiritual successors, there's never been an actual sequel. Like Mario RPG for the SNES. Yeah, there's been tons of games that have been like spiritual successors to the game, but there's never been a sequel to that one game. So this topic is going to be us talking about what if there was a sequel to a game that deserves a sequel. So who wants to go first? I'll go last because I'm the host, and I don't want to bogart the
step on toes.
I don't want to bogart the topic. So who wants to go first?
In this case, you're up, Pinky.
There's one game in mind. It's Glover. I know originally it was supposed to get a sequel, but it got canceled.
Yeah, which is sad because it's actually a pretty good game.
And there's also Kid Chameleon, which has some interesting game mechanics.
With the hats and stuff like that. Yeah.
I got mine now. It's just that it took me a bit to think about it.
All right.
Mischief Makers.
That's a good one.
I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to shake it with Maria Lightyear?
I would enjoy it if they had more playable characters aside from just the robot lady, whose name I forgot.
Well, Marina.
Yeah. And I just played that game like a month ago.
It's one, but you only get a few levels of him. I said there is one character that you could play with other than her, but it's only for a few levels. So, if anything, if they give you a new episode of that, a new game with that, and give you at least 4 playable characters, that actually might be worth more the price. Well,
it's Treasure. Treasure doesn't really make sequels to their games. Because speaking of a sequel to a game that was made by Treasure that definitely needs a sequel, where's our Wario World 2?
Wario World 2?
Yeah, we had Wario World on the GameCube, which was a nice little beat-em-up / platformer where like Wario basically finds this giant black diamond. Of course, he's a greedy bastard. He brings it back to his castle.
He'll take it.
And he sticks it in his castle. It turns out it's alive, and it basically devours all of his treasure. Now, Wario ain't having that because he's a fat, greedy bastard. So he goes to get his treasure back and gets his ass handed to it because this giant jewel is an evil, sentient giant jewel. He winds up getting sucked into this alternate world where these little fairy creatures who originally had kept the jewel hidden away but had to break free, and now it's wreaking havoc. So he's got to rescue them, plus get his treasures back so he can get back into his own world and beat the shit out of this black jewel and get his shit back. Because Wario rolls like that. Why did we never get a sequel? Like, I think a Wario World 2 would be awesome.
They'll probably work. They haven't thought of any new mechanics to warrant sequel yet.
You don't need new mechanics. All you need to do is just because the original Wario World is basically you go to different levels. Like there's a hub and you go to different areas and like you go through levels. So it's like more like a conventional game. Just take the engine from Mario Galaxy and just make it on a bigger scale. Like instead of like one hub world and then you're going around, you basically have a bigger world to explore. Even style mechanics where Wario can pick up enemies, body slam them, and whirl them around and beat the shit out of them and punch them and eat them. And oh man, maybe add some power ups like from the Wario Land series, like the Viking helmet, the Dragon helmet, the jetpack, stuff like that. That'd be awesome. I'd be down.
You mentioned the Mario. You mentioned that Wario World 2 should use the Mario Galaxy engine. Wouldn't that make it its own game rather than a follow-up to Wario World?
I meant Odyssey. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
Mario Odyssey.
Like, it happens.
Basically, to have a massive like I would just love to have a massive world to explore, but it's Wario World, so it's it's a different thing going on,
Though, if anything, it probably would be fun to at least see what his castle looks like, as in like having a Mario 64 like style.
Hell, you could even have different playable characters. Like Captain Syrup's a playable character. Maybe Wario's a playable character. Maybe you can have one of those characters from WarioWare is a playable character. I don't know.
If you're going that far, I pick Ashley for that one.
Anything else?
Well, aside from that, I think that the only other thing is maybe I don't know. Well, I mean, I could name like why did we never get an ActRaiser 3? Like ActRaiser 2 wasn't that good because they took out the whole city building civilization mechanics, but aside from that, it was pretty good. Maybe let's see what else. This is going to be kind of a joke game that never got a sequel. We never got a sequel to Tingle's Quest, and it's a Tingle's Adventure for the Game Boy Advance, where we found out why Tingle wants to dress up like a woman, like a fairy. It's not for the reason people think either.
For the ladies.
Well, everyone thought it was because he was gay, but it's actually not. The reason that he dresses up like a fairy is because he got to make out with a great fairy, and we all know that the great fairies in the Legend of Zelda are really like, except for Wind Waker, like the other games, the great fairy has always been a hot chick. So I mean, now that you understand that, you know, the great fairies are hot chicks, then it totally makes sense why he would want to be a fairy and hang out with fairies, because he wants to hook up with a great fairy again. That's what that shit's about. It's about trying to get with a hot lady. So it makes sense that he'd be like, you know, I wanna hang out with him. Can you think of any other games that
needs a sequel? Let's see. Well, there's Clock Tower.
There are tons of sequels to that game.
I mean, there hasn't been a new one since the third one, which came out in the early 2000s.
No, maybe there's been ports, but there's like 5 games in that series, man.
No, there's actually only 4.
No, because there was one for the SNES. There's one for the PlayStation. There's one for the PS2, and I think there was one for the Vita.
No, there's one for the SNES, 2 for the PS, and 1 for the PS2.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a lost genre. Oh well. No. I mean, the thing about the Clock Tower games is that they are kind of difficult to get into.
They're point and click. They're like point and click horror games.
Well, I mean, they aren't quite there. It's just the control. Like, okay, like most horror games, the horror, like if you play the original 2 Resident Evil games that are booked as horror games, like the whole point of Resident Evil is that you are people who, like, you're police officers / army people who are called in, and the situation is far worse than you can imagine, but you still have training. Clock Tower, completely different beast. Clock Tower is you're just a normal person who hasn't been trained to do anything remotely combative against like a crazy motherfucker with a giant pair of scissors, other weird ass shit going down, and you're like you're a normal person. So it's like you move really slow. You're like, what the fuck is that? You know, you have like only towards the last like 10% of those games do you get the last 10-20% of those games do you get some way to defend yourself, and even then it's like a very limited like defensive ability. Most of the time, if you once you get a weapon, if you try to use it, you're going to get your ass handed to you and be killed. And so it's just kind of frustrating for modern gamers. I wouldn't say it's a point and click though. It's just very kind of it's a horror adventure game. It's kind of like Zack and Wiki, except instead of being a nice pirate themed adventure game, it's oh my god, it's a horror game with a crazy midget with a giant pair of scissors that will totally kill your ass.
No contest there.
Forgive me if I said midget. I know that's inappropriate. Little person.
It's not inappropriate around here.
I thought it was dwarf that's actually inappropriate.
No, inappropriate. They don't like being called midget. They prefer to be called small person. Well, dwarf is a specific term. It's specifically someone who is between, I think it's like 2.5 to 3 feet tall is a dwarf, but that only applies to people who meet that specific criteria. If you want to get the catch-all term for everybody, just little person or a person of smaller stature. But they don't apparently like to be called midget, so don't call them that. They don't like to be called that, and I can't blame them. But that's neither here nor there. Let's sorry. But anyway, I guess it's my turn to talk about some games that definitely deserve sequels. So I'll start with the first one, Wonderful 101.
Clearly.
Oh, yeah. That Hideki Kamiya is already interested in making a sequel.
Beautiful Joe. Yeah, I know we've got like 2 Beautiful Joe games, and they're really good. But really, that series needs to be picked back up because it's astonishingly good. It's a nice.
It's beautiful, for Pete's sake.
Matter of fact, you could hit 2 birds with one stone by just doing a Beautiful Joe / Mighty 101 crossover. You could call it Mighty Beautiful.
I thought it was the Wonderful 101.
Yeah, wonderful. You could call it Wonderfully Beautiful. Then you could do some really cool stuff with it. Next, I think they need to bring back the Lufia franchise. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of games in this series. Like it's Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals, Lufia and Lufia 3. Then there's Lufia and the Ruins of Lore. So there's like 4 games in the series. Well, there's also that shitty remake that Square Enix made for the DS that was like not even like it was Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals, but like not nearly as good as the original game. It was like a shitty action, like generic fucking action game. But yeah, I think it's time to bring that franchise back. And the best way to do it is just to, just give the game to an independent studio that's passionate about RPGs and let them go. Because the hook about Lufia was the combat wasn't that great, but the real strong point of the Lufia series was you had the ancient mysterious dungeon, which was basically like in the first game was like you went through and with semi-randomized levels down a 50-floor dungeon, and at the bottom you'd face a hidden boss that if you defeated the hidden boss, you could basically get your hands on some really awesome items. And the coolest thing about the ancient mysterious dungeon was like initially, now I don't know about subsequent games because it's been a long time since I played these games, but initially, like every time you went to the ancient mysterious dungeon, your level would go down to 1. So basically, as you fought your way through the ancient mysterious dungeon, you'd get better items, you'd get better weapons, your stats would go up, you'd level up, but it's like you were always starting at 1, so you had to be smart in how you moved in the dungeon. Some treasure chests were booby traps, some treasure chests weren't. And I mean, generally, like all around, the dungeons were like puzzles. Like you had to push blocks and light torches and hit switches, and it was like Legend of Zelda. It was like someone said, okay, I want the puzzles of a Legend of Zelda game, but with the combat of an RPG. So it kind of combined those two genres in a very interesting way. It was brilliant. And then Square Enix bought the franchise and fucked it up because it's not enough for them to fuck up their own core franchise of Final Fantasy. They got to buy other people's shit and fuck that up too. So, what to do?
So many chances to not screw it up, and they do it.
They can't stop, won't stop. Like Rockefeller, like the Rockefeller Records, Young Guns. But anyway,
and thank you, Red Fox, for mentioning crossovers of sorts, because there was one crossover that I actually was hoping for some time that might actually happen. Battletoads and Double Dragon.
Do that game again? Do a sequel?
Yeah. I mean, have you played? I mean, it was on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo.
And the NES. And the Game Boy. Yes, I have all 4 versions of that game. I like it. It's one of my personal favorite titles. I'm a beat 'em up fanboy, except the game is kind of a little bit of a lie because it's called Battletoads and Double Dragon, but it's more of a Battletoads game than a Double Dragon game. It just kind of brings it down a little bit, but if you're into Battletoads, it's really good. It's really good. Rash, Pimple, and Zit, and Billy and Jimmy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty violent. It's I mean,
and it also has one of the headaches of gaming still.
Yeah,
come on.
There's this one level in Battletoad Double Dragon that is just like, I call it the FU level for me. And for me, it's the level where you're in the spaceship and you have to, like, it has the spaceship has these shitty controls where you have to use the D-pad in order to change the rotation of the ship. Then you have to press another button in order to use your engine so you can fly around dodging things. Then another button is so that you can shoot shit.
You have an engine button, you have a gun button, and you have tank controls.
It's that entire level. If you can get past that level, the level after that is much better. Like that's the one flaw of the game is just how it switches up stuff in a way that makes, in some cases, it worse. But that's the one fuck you level of the game. Like after you do that, the game gets easier. Well,
because I got all the way up to the boss and lost.
Yeah, the Black Queen is cheap because she has this energy barrier around her that just like every time you get hit, it takes off a huge amount of life. Like 2 hits and you're dead. It's like I thought it was never fun. It was never fun that like the Battletoads nemesis is this really hot boss. I'm like, come on, why can't it be someone who you want to punch in the face? It's like, look, if it's being ruled over by this hot chick, it might be worth it.
You can have a female villain who looks both hot and someone you want to punch in the face. Kind of like that one female character from Rising of the Shield Hero who falsely accused the main character for raping her, even though he never did.
Even if a character, it's really like, I mean, I hate to say this, but in the world we live in, if you're attractive, you get more of the benefit of the doubt than ugly people, which is sad, but true.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see, where are we? Oh yes, the rest. So we got a little bit of time left, so I guess we can continue to talk about a little bit more about
video game news.
Games that deserve a sequel. No more video game news. There's not much that really happened this week.
Well, there is some
games we're looking forward to that are coming out sometime soon. I don't know.
Well, there is one gaming-related news, though I don't know if that still counts. It just came out just today.
All right.
Longtime Jeopardy host Alex Trebek has stage 4 cancer.
Oh, he's not going to make it. They're going to have to get a new host for Jeopardy.
And the reason why I say I wasn't sure if it counts because I don't know if game shows count.
There's Jeopardy. There's Jeopardy video games.
True.
I used to watch Jeopardy with my family all the time. And I was good at it too. Jeopardy, like basically, you can tell what type of family you're in depending on what game show your family likes to watch. Like, Wheel of Fortune is kind of anybody's game because it's just a word association and common colloquialisms. Whereas, unless you're that college student who fucked up the name Achilles and lost like $20,000, he's like, Greek hero Achilles. I was like, I know someone wanted to jump through that TV and strangle that motherfucker, but it's like, and you call yourself a college student? What classes have you been going to, you stupid motherfucker? But you haven't been reading the classical tales of Homer, you bastard. And then you Jeopardy, which, like, in order for you to do well in Jeopardy, you have to know shit. You gotta be well read and know philosophy and science and read. It's really heady stuff. But if you're good at it, you feel like a smart ass. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. So our hearts go out for Alex Trebek. Stage 4 cancer, he's probably not gonna make it because generally people don't come back from stage 4 cancer. So
not in one piece, definitely.
That's kind of sad. Oh well. But with that being said, let's talk about some games we're looking forward to. So, I mean, I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. I'm really looking forward to Shakedown Hawaii.
Shakedown Hawaii, as in that 2D top-down game of like Hotline Miami.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that game.
So yeah, is it? So that'd be this month or later this year?
It's in spring, so I'm guessing
it's going to at least come out before April.
Yeah. So basically, before March, April, May, June. It's going to come out sometime between March and June. Hopefully, the earlier part of that estimation.
I'd say close towards the middle of April. At least that's my guess.
Yeah. But I want it to come out because I fucking I liked the first game, so I want it to have, I want it to come out again. See what else.
Any indie titles coming out between March and June besides Hotline Miami?
I'm aware of. I mean, if not Drinkbox Studios, if the Steambot people were on top of their game, they'd put their shit out too. But not Steambot. Yeah, the Steambot Chronicles, Steambot Quest. I wish that came out because I like those games, but even the first one that was like a tower defense game. Even though who would have known that game would have spawned an entire series about robots? Because the first game, you weren't a robot. You were a human fighting against robots. And then in the second game, you're a robot trying to basically stop this supercomputer from destroying the world. And then the second game in that series, in that timeline, you're the girlfriend of the robot who tried to stop this supercomputer, who discovers that the supercomputer's been co-opted by the few remaining humans left on Earth, and the planet is exploded. And then the spinoff from that is that, after the planet was exploded, the robots have had to survive in space. In space. And that supercomputer is still trying to do something. So, and now we have Steambot Quest, which, I don't know where the story is. I'm guessing this is after they managed to pull the Earth back together again. So it's a card-based RPG. Okay, Shadow Fox Infinite. Killer Instinct needs a sequel on Xbox Anaconda. Yeah, I'd be cool with that, but I was not wild about the Killer Instinct game on the Xbox. I have to agree, it plays very much like the original game, but my God, just that art style though. Panzer Dragoon would deserve a sequel. Sunset Overdrive, yep, right. Wonderful 101, we already said that. Infamous First Light, I think the Infamous series needs to end. And new Tomb Raider, now that she's back home.
We haven't had a new Infamous game for years though.
Yeah, well, we've had 3. We had those first 2, and then we had that third one that was it's a new story and a new character. Here's the problem with Infamous, right? Problem with Infamous is that we never got any closure to Cole's story. And then they were like, well, we're going to add a new character. It's I don't give a shit about the new character when I'm still hanging over the edge with this old character. So they need to finish Cole's story and then do a new character. And as far as Tomb Raider goes, I don't like the new Tomb Raider games. Sorry, I don't like the art style. I don't like the fact that They turned the wonderful busty Lara Croft into the plain Jane looking Lara Croft they have now, who is not attractive whatsoever. I mean, like, I like playing as an attractive English chick going around shooting stuff. I like that. I know some people are going to be like, how dare you, sir, objectify. Look, it's a video game character. Calm the fuck down. I like if I'm going to play as a female character, let me play as a pretty one. Okay? Unless you're going for the Samus route, who's just, Samus may be hot, but you wouldn't know because most of the time she's in her armor, so it doesn't matter. Oh, God, I can feel my joints are popping. But, yeah, I know there's a mode for that. I just don't like the fact they were like, we need to change this character because people are going to get angry. I'm like, fuck them. Who cares if they get angry? Plus, I mean, like, Tomb Raider went from being a fun game to just being like a generic open world action adventure title with a little bit of puzzle solving, which I just find to be kind of meh to me. But it's like Assassin's Creed but with slightly better gameplay now instead of a Tomb Raider game. Which Tomb Raider initially had very little combat and a lot of puzzle solving and platforming, and that's what made it good. And now it's like, unless you want, how many ways can we kill Lara Croft in horrific ways? Oh, she got stabbed in the chest with a branch.
There was still action. There was still a lot of action in the older Tomb Raider games.
Yeah, but that was like 40. That was like 30% at the most, 40% of what was going on. Most of it was platforming and puzzle solving, and I'm okay with that because she's a Tomb Raider. Most of the time, you're gonna be, if you're trying to figure some shit out, there's gonna be like puzzles and shit. I mean, like, okay, let me put this. EverQuest. Well, I mean, are they ever going to take EverQuest off? Does it need a sequel when there's still people playing the original or the second one? They're still playing the shit. I don't know. Oh man. I don't know. So basically, let's see. We got 10 minutes left before the end of this podcast. So,
I just found out something, you guys. Do you guys play Tetris 99? By the way,
nope.
Because there's an event coming up for it.
Oh, do you mean the news that those who won Tetris 99 get a free coupon for the eShop?
No. Available from March 8th to the 10th. You can win my Nintendo Gold points, if you're wondering, with the Maxis Cup.
How many points are you winning?
I was trying to read it real quick because I just found out about it. Winners accumulated. Each winner will receive 999 My Nintendo Gold points, aka $10 in a sense.
Oh, that's
skill.
I mean, it's free.
Participating.
So, I mean,
determines the winners.
But
yeah, but still, that's not bad. That's not a bad amount of coin.
Yeah. Too bad you can only spend it in one place. But anyway, Baldur's Gate is the last game that Shadow Fox Infinite. Well, I mean, there is kind of a sequel to Baldur's Gate. It's called Dragon Age Origins. And then they kind of shat the bed with Dragon Age Origins 2. I mean, Dragon Age 2. And then the bed that they shat on with the second game, they then went and lit it on fire and burnt it with Dragon Age Inquisition. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, Baldur's Gate would be a really good, would be a nice game to bring back with modern RPG mechanics. Have the party system, have interesting characters. Oh well. Anyway, let's see.
There is some one other gaming news. Turok, the first two Turok games are coming to Switch, supposedly.
I hope they're remastering them.
Oh, it's the original N64 versions, rather than a complete remake.
So basically, we're gonna have to play through that N64 fog. Can't render the levels. Like, the first Turok was groundbreaking at the time, but the second one's so much better. I mean, it's like, I don't get it. Anyway, let's see. We got a little bit of time left? I'll put one more game out there that definitely needs a sequel, even though, like, it's a good game. It never got a sequel. Sleeping Dogs.
From Square Enix.
Well, it originally was supposed to be the sequel to True Crime, which itself needs a sequel. Like, True Crime needs to be brought back. There was True Crime Streets of LA, which was really good. And there was True Crime New York, which was, like, not that good because it was rushed and buggy. And then the franchise kind of went downhill because Activision stopped supporting it. Gun was Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption never came out. I mean, it came out and it was really good. It was set in this, like, in the Wild West in like the Nevada, California area. And basically, like, you played this cowboy guy who went around, you could hunt, you could gamble, you could shoot bandits and hostile natives and former Confederate soldiers / KKK members, shoot them in the face with a shotgun. It was great. It's a great game. Your adopted father was Chris Christopherson, so you knew it was good. And yeah, it was a good Western open world sandbox style game with an interesting story of revenge and duty and family and honor. And the game sold relatively well. And then just Activision, like, the same studio that made that game was the studio that made the Tony Hawk series. And then Activision pulled them off and said, you're going back to making Tony Hawk games, which is sad because, Gun was a really good game. And it never got a sequel it never got the sequel that it deserved. So I guess before we wrap things up, give out one game you're looking forward to this year, and then we'll wrap things up.
For me, Fantasy Strike. I want to see how that turns out.
What game?
Fantasy Strike.
Never heard of it.
If anybody plays Yomi, the card game of sorts, then you probably would know that it's from Fantasy Strike Games, made by Sterling, and he's been known to try to make something complex into something simple, and he has been one of the people that did Street Fighter before.
I still never heard of it. I was about to say something. Pinky?
Yeah. See, the game I'm looking forward to this year is going to be Sword and Shield. Followed by
Sword and Shield.
That's and maybe Luigi's Mansion.
All right, okay. I'm looking forward to the Outer Worlds just because it's from the guys who created the original Fallout games. It's not going to be at that scope, but it still looks like it's going to be really good. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's the end. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe.
You right back?
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's what I think. That's
you got muted for a moment. That's why.
Yeah. So that's because someone was calling on the phone. It's not my house, so I didn't answer it.
And I'm back.
I just let it go. So yeah, that's my that's my opinion. I'm looking forward to the Outer Worlds. These are the guys who helped create the original Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2. They later went on and created Troika games, which created Vampire the Masquerade, like one of the best RPGs ever. And then they later went on and helped create Fallout New Vegas, which is one of the best Fallouts ever. So like they've made like a series of really good RPGs, and now they're making another good one. It's not going to be to the scope of those previous games because those games had bigger budgets, which is kind of sad. I wish there was more to this. I wish the game was bigger, but yeah, whatever. Oh well. But with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. You guys give your sign-offs and pimp out whatever you want to pimp out, and we'll wrap things up.
This is Free Dog from Million Facts. I recently posted a new article at the Discus Pokemon League group where it's my top 10 Pokemon I like to see in Sword and Shield.
All right.
Yeah. For me, I'm just checking around and being sure all as well. So if anything, I'll tell until next time. I'll see you guys when.
All right. Remember, this is Mr. Red Fox. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Matthew Wesley at Mr. Red Fox 91, or you can reach me at Mr. Red Fox BS Busters at gmail.com. And if you would like to be a guest on this podcast, you can reach out to me on Gmail and we can have a dialogue and we can work things out. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, play your games, have fun, and fuck Sony. Good night.
And hype responsibly.